everybody joining us today. So excited to bring this session to you. PressWise, we've been doing our Wednesday webinars now quite frequently over the past year. Actually, we've been picking them back up, and you'll see many, many more to come. But it's exciting to be able to share a more focused on our partner kind of a webinar opportunity for you guys. So just appreciate everybody who has joined us today. We're going to spend some time with Zach Capriola. He is the operations director at TPC, and he's been in the print industry for 4 years, but over a decade of experience in the sales and account management. So you'll notice Zach is very driven by a focus on systems and structures, and he was the one who championed the transition to add PlanProphet about 18 months ago. He was handling everything from the initial research to implementation, figuring out how can he supplement the power that he already has in PressWise and taking that data to the next level. So he's very, very focused on replacing manual processes with automation and removing those bottlenecks, which is, very much in alignment with what PressWise brings to the table. TPC has about 25 team members and just had their 6-year anniversary with PressWise in May. I don't know if you knew that, Zach, but you guys did. Yeah, so that's pretty exciting. So you all know me. I'm your account manager with PressWise. I help you with all your entitlements and fun stuff that you want to add to PressWise, that sort of thing. Not going to spend time on me today, but I am going to introduce Christian Dickson to you all. And most of you have probably met him. If not, you will be very soon, especially if you join us at the Champion Summit coming up in October. But Christian is the Chief Revenue Officer for PlanProphet. He has extensive experience scaling AI and SaaS companies. His purpose is to help print and sign businesses turn their MIS data into smarter selling opportunities, stronger customer relationships, and overall sustainable growth. So he's leading the revenue, the partnerships, the channel management, and PlanProphet, and it's very integral in us building our relationship and taking the integration or the marriage of PressWise and PlanProphet to the next level. So I'm going to turn it over to Christian. Guys, we invite you to ask questions. Send as many as you want at Zach, at Christian, at me, and we're going to do our best to help you out here.
Amazing. Thanks for that introduction, Susan. And hey, Zach, pleasure to have you.
Yeah.
It's great to see. Great to me to put a face to the name. And I'm excited to dig in a little bit more. Obviously, this being a customer showcase, we're focusing on a lot of different things that kind of meet in between an organization's workflows and environmental growth. I believe you guys have done a lot of growing yourselves over the past few years, from adding a larger facility, bringing on new team members. And as I remember doing some research, you guys are family owned and operated.
Correct. Yeah.
But with a larger team, been growing and doing a lot of things from print to signs and many other things. So you guys are multifaceted over there.
Yeah, we do a lot.
And to dig in a little bit more, just to give everyone a quick overview, PlanProphet, if you don't know us already, we're a CRM, print specific, work with signage companies as well, automations when it comes to customer experience, sales, marketing, customer support, etc. So we do a lot of things, and our partnership with PressWise has been growing over the past few years as we've seen a lot of interest in adopting streamlining processes, smarter technologies, making the job simpler, easier, and better across teams and not just in one side of the house. So that marriage together has really expanded over the years, and we see a lot more of that growing as new technologies evolve, as things like AI becomes more prevalent and user-friendly, but also meaningful and not just something that is out there just because you can do it. And so we're excited to kind of transcend the process of just giving you basic systems and tools, but really meaningful, purpose-built automations and processes. And, going into Zach, I think one of the main things that, we're going to be able to uncover today is a little bit more of that user experience from an industry voice, being able to see the perspective of the different parts of the operation using the technologies together. And I'll throw it back over to you, Susan, or actually, unless Zach, you want to jump in with anything there.
No, I just, before we get in, just so everybody has a little bit of background on TPC. So we've been around for 37 plus years. We started off doing print, then we got into promo, then apparel. A few years back now, we acquired a signage company. So now we do signage and vehicle wraps, warehousing and fulfillment. So we kind of touch a big breadth of different services and things for our clients, which has been cool because we're kind of that one-stop shop for a lot of them. So, but being able to do all that and have these two softwares work together and help us has been awesome. And PlanProphet has just boosted what PressWise was able to help us with. So being able to share some of that today is exciting. So I'm looking forward to it.
Amazing. And I know that I think the big part that everyone asks about is what's the power of integration and connecting data. And that's some of the things we'll tackle today and some of the questions and ideas that we're going to cover. Susan, I have a couple of things I can share as we kind of go through this from our perspective, literally like in a sandbox, kind of showing a little bit more about quotes and proofs and whatnot. But at first, I think it would be helpful to say if there's anything that you want to make sure to outline based upon some feedback from any of the customers or users that I should be mindful of as we're going through it.
Well, as we were preparing for this webinar, Zach and I got to spend some time on the phone, and he showed me a bit about what they're doing there in PlanProphet. So he definitely hit me with a few wows that were pretty significant that I've heard, our various user base ask about. And so a couple of things I absolutely am looking forward to Zach highlighting are how your company has improved on the accounts receivable ends of things by leveraging PlanProphet, because it's significant, and he has numbers, and numbers are impressive. And then the other thing that, again, from my perspective, when I'm talking with shops that are thinking about adding PlanProphet, one of the areas that you guys do so well that PressWise is not intended to do is that actual customer relationship management and getting the visibility for the sales team and the sales numbers and the sales activity. And coming from myself, I've been in technology for 35 plus years. I have always had a CRM. Like, I could not imagine having a business development role, salesperson in any company, and not having a CRM to manage myself. I mean, that to me is crazy, but I think that's pretty typical in many of the print shops out there. I know when I worked at a print shop for about 9 years, we tried many different CRMs, but it just wasn't the norm. I think it needs to become the norm, and I'd really love to have Zach focus in on those. Those are like my two wow moments, but there's so much more. So I'm going to leave it to you guys, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. Zach, any comments to you on that before I'm going to throw in a question for you?
No, yeah, the AR and the sales is two big things. So, I've got some stuff, and yeah, I'm just excited to share that. But shoot, what you got, Christian?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of the users, whether they're using us today as a conjunction between, PressWise and PlanProphet, or it's something they're considering right now. I guess one of the questions is, you're an operations person. You've been kind of sitting in the middle, and you kind of see all angles of the business from every direction. That's sales, that's accounts receivables, that's production, the whole nine. And
Yeah.
kind of give us a little bit more detail on your day to day and what that looks like, when you're kind of, whether you're using the systems, looking into things, helping teams to use it. What's that look like?
Yeah. Well, I'll jump back a little bit. So when I first started at TPC, I actually got hired in as a sales role. And so that's where I first got my feet wet. And then I quickly transitioned into more of a management operations role. We had been around for a long time, but a lot of what we were doing was really, really manual. And my brain is very much processes and automation, and how can we reduce these bottlenecks. And so that's what kind of moved me into that operations role that I'm in today. But having said that, I still do some sales. I've got a couple key accounts that are mine that I take care of. But a typical day for me is I come in, the first thing I'm doing is running reports, either in PressWise or PlanProphet, to see, what do we have due today? What do I need to talk to production about? Is there anything bottlenecked in art? Do we have anything with our support department that's maybe past due or coming up? And we'll have those quick morning stand-ups or meetings just to kind of make sure everybody's on the same page and knows what's on their plate for the day. PlanProphet has been nice in that, because I have a dashboard I built myself. It's an operations dashboard. So all the metrics and everything that I want to see is all in one place for me now. So PressWise has always had all the data, but PlanProphet made it really easy just to see it. So that actually saves me a lot of time in the morning, going through that stuff. And then after those morning meetings, I could have some sales calls. I could have stuff like this. I'm meeting with marketing teams to discuss strategy for what TPC is doing later in the year, next year. And then a lot of my day is just putting out fires, which I'm sure everybody in the print industry is well versed in. There's always something, a rush order comes in or printer's down or, researching equipment. So I try and not book up every minute of my day. So I've got that flexibility to handle those things when they come across. So
it sounds like a lot of the work or the usage that you're putting into it right now is in the reporting side, in which case you're using data from multiple systems, PressWise, PlanProphet, maybe some other things as well. How's that been as a transition from in the past when you were working, trying to manage this? Maybe you're using Excel or obviously using PressWise for their
yeah.
ability, but how are you kind of putting this together in the past before PlanProphet was able to pull in other types of data?
A lot of it was, you're manually running a report. You're looking at Excel sheets. You're trying to decipher all that stuff. AI has been another big thing that has helped out with just, going through big chunks of data and getting summaries on that stuff. But having everything easy, like the way PlanProphet shows the data is really cool. Like it's super visual and I'm a visual person. So if somebody wants to sit and talk at me, like I can understand it, but if there's graphs and things like that, it's a lot easier to follow and process. So that part of PlanProphet has been super nice. But before it was just like you said, a lot of Excel and manual stuff. But now like the reports in PlanProphet like will run every day. So like you set up what you want and you can make it run every day or once a week or whatever. So when you log in, like it's already there for you. You don't have to do any of that manual process that we used to have to do.
I mean, I know that from my side as well, being in the world of, sales and growth and other things, the data is always there, but it's so hard to visualize. And I think that's what you're noting on here is that being able to see the data in a
Yes.
visual way and share that among teams, whether you're in a production or a sales or marketing meeting, it gives
Yeah.
the potential for that. But without the data being there, I mean, reports and dashboards have no meaning. So that
Christian,
press-wise information.
can
Oh,
you
go
flip
ahead,
up
Susan.
a screenshot or a vision of these like a
Like a
typical
dashboard.
dashboard? Yeah, something that
Sure, sure.
folks can see to hone in on.
Let me
That
pull
is,
that right in.
yeah. So in our PressWise customer base, they know that we're extremely responsive and creating custom reports when they need them. But this is absolutely one of the ways. If you're thinking about a custom report, you might want to explore first to see if you can actually create your own report inside of PlanProphet. That you wouldn't have separate customization fees from us, which we're totally fine with. But if the data is there, and it is there because we are obviously, if we can build a custom report for you, this might be the route you should go. And I really encourage our shops that are currently subscribing to PlanProphet and have that idea of a custom report in mind. Explore with the PlanProphet team. Christian, can they reach out to your team to say, hey, we have this idea, we want to build this report? Or Zach, how did you go about creating some of these customs? Did you just go in there and figure it out on your own, or?
So I'll let Christian answer, but and then I can piggyback off that. But we've done kind of a mix of two things, so I'll
Okay.
let him go first.
We have different ways to handle that. Absolutely. We actually have inside here, there's a help center that you can actually issue a support ticket for. And our team are experts in PlanProphet. And for those who aren't familiar, but just as a reminder, this is built on Salesforce tech stack. So the ability to use a lot of these reports is going to mean that experts in our side and Salesforce together, it gives you the ability to run these reports very easily. So you can build a lot of things yourselves once you figure those things out. But if you don't have the time or a team member just needs some support quickly, you can use that support center and we can spin that report up very quickly due to our expertise in the matter and be able to put that directly in your instance so you can see it, make sure that everything's in good shape. And the reports themselves, we're going to have a lot of information from different fields, and that's things that we're hosting. That's things from PressWise that we're, pulling that in so you can see information here. and allowing you to switch and change things that you want to see from an outline perspective. This is the stuff that we're looking at, from reps and shipped products, job numbers and account names, all the way to the filters of when you want that shown. And this is coming into a dashboard and visualized. You can see the graph here is represented, but then back here, we're actually seeing that in a tighter way, just directly into this dashboard, along with other reports being visualized in this instance. Zach, what was your process? Did you reach out to support, or did you kind of handle this?
So when we first onboarded, it's a lot, and there's so much information at your fingertips. And so to learn all of it, like, it's overwhelming. But PlanProphet was really, really good about helping walk us through how to build those reports. And then as we got a little bit more knowledgeable, myself and my team, we find ourselves building a lot of reports now, but then there might be something where you've got an idea for a report and you just can't quite get it there. So that's another place that Help Center comes into play. They can kind of walk through that and help you troubleshoot it, or get it across the finish line. And then, like you said as well, just sometimes I don't have time to build a report, but I know I need it. So being able to put in that ticket and then coming back and having that done has been really nice. So if you want to get in there and do it, you absolutely can. It's pretty easy to learn. If you don't and you need some help, they're there for that as well. So you've kind of got both avenues, whatever your preference is.
And within this, just to add to that, the Help Center is going to have more than just a support place. It does have tutorials and other documentation to help with that. Feel free to be able to use that in other forms. Some people take the information, put it into an LLM of their own, and just ask questions. That's sometimes an easy way to go about it. But an example of this was built from a sales coaching webinar that we hosted recently, where it was focused on time management for sales. And the dashboard that we built for this was designed to take tasks, timelines, and information in a way for a sales rep or sales manager to easily organize this information. But the same goes for accounts receivable and finance. It goes to, operations and production and anything else that you can pull into PlanProphet, that we can be able to visualize. This can be meaningful when it comes down to just waking up in the morning, having this sent to your email, even before sending this, and then being able to dig into the data along the way anytime you want to see the scheduled details or orders or other information.
And Christian, before we move on to that AR discussion, because I definitely want Zach to kind of share those numbers, but Zach, I think one of the things that's pretty common in the print shop industry or the print industry is a reluctance for the sales folks, especially if they've been in printing for a while, to actually adopt some sort of CRM, any CRM. And you shared with me that you ran into that a little bit. Can you address that? Because I think that's important.
So our team at first, they just kind of looked at it like, well, this is extra work. I've got to do more steps, which they're not 100% wrong. And the thing that I've told them from day one is you get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah.
It's a really, really powerful tool if you'll take a little bit of time, to record your call, record your visits, take notes. There's a lot of stuff in PlanProphet that can make, not only starting from like the first time you talk to a prospect all the way through when you finally get that order, but just with existing clients, the data's there. And if you take, you go have a visit and you take 5 minutes to update that or take notes, and when you see them 3 months later or whatever it is, it's really easy to pull that back up, and it makes that customer journey seamless, or a lot more seamless than it would be if you're handwriting stuff in a notebook or just not recording anything. And so at first we got a lot of pushback, but then as, they got pushed to use it a little bit, now they really see the value in it and they're bought in, and they're coming up with different ideas on how we can do this, or this really helped me. And so it's been cool to watch the team talk to each other too, and just see what's working for one person, they'll share with another, and have them take that and kind of run with it now has been awesome. So it's helped a lot.
That's actually a really good point. Whether you're implementing it in MIS like PressWise or PlanProphet, those like internal meet and greet sessions where you guys are getting back together and sharing what you're learning and tweaking, and that should actually go on forever. Right. In the beginning, It might be with more frequency. It might be weekly because everybody's learning. But then eventually it's a once a month, hey, because I think in any system as complex as CRM with PlanProphet or MIS with PressWise, there's always, always, always learning. There's always more features being added. And I would just put a general plug out there for anybody in using any system like that. Continue to visit and learn more about it monthly, right? Because there's so many features and you can only, do a bite at a time. You can focus on the sales team or focus on the AR setup or whatever, get it right. And then make sure you're always moving on to what's next that you need to adopt in this system.
Well, and that reminds me. So one of the things we did when we implemented PlanProphet was every Monday morning we have a sales meeting. So we get the whole sales team inside and outside. Everybody's together in a room and we go through our stuff. And so what I started doing at the end of those meetings was I would take, 10 or 15 minutes, just short little sound bites. And we would pick something in PlanProphet that I wanted them to learn that week. And we would just, spoon feed it to them in little bitty bites like that. And the
Perfect.
And like their buy-in, we really saw a big change and a swing once we started doing that. If you try and give it to them all at once, at least with our team, and I'm sure most teams would be like that, it's too much. And so they kind of resist. But when you can give them just a little nugget every week, we really saw them grab on and start to run with it. So that was, kind of a best practice for us that I'm sure would help some other people that maybe are in that boat in the future.
That's awesome. Okay,
Zach?
so I know we've got people desperately waiting to hear about your AR experience, and it is one of the best marriages, I think, of the two systems.
Christian, can you pull up just like the homepage, what it looks like when you pull up PlanProphet?
Yeah, I'll caveat this is a sandbox, so information is going to look different here than it might be for you guys, but it does have a lot of the information from like a today's report, sales goals, auto logs from automations that are going out, and some details about customers.
Yeah. And so, back to when I started here at TPC, like I said, everything we did was really manual, including our accounts receivable. So we were that shop that was physically printing off statements and putting them in the mail, sending those out once a month. We were emailing invoices, but our accounts receivable, when I started, we were averaging 66 days before we got paid on a job. Since we've implemented PlanProphet, we've dropped that down to 24 days, which has just been huge. My finance team loves it. That was, if I just told them that one thing, they're like, okay, absolutely. Like we're on board. And the things that have helped us do that is the automations PlanProphet does. So now our statements automatically go out on the 1st and the 15th every month. Nobody has to remember to do it. It just happens. Our invoices automatically go at the end of each day. So every job we close in PressWise, I think it's 8 o'clock for us, 8 p.m. All those invoices go out via email. And so that's going on. And then if anybody's past due, which PlanProphet has a lot of this stuff built in automatically, we've kind of taken that and added more to it. But if they're past due 30, 45, 60, 90 days, PlanProphet sends out a reminder like, hey, here's your stuff. You owe us money. We've taken that and expanded it. So we do, I think it's 30, 38, 45, 60, 75, 90, 120, and beyond. And so we've taken what PlanProphet gave us and just beefed it up. But all of those things combined is really what's driven that accounts receivable down from 66 days down to 24. And we're not quite where I want to be, but the more I see it drop, the more I'm like, okay, how low can we really get this?
Well, in addition to that increased cash flow, which is huge for any shop of any size, how much time has that saved the person who used to be responsible for doing this, right?
So we used to have a woman on our staff, and that was one of her main things was like the finance and the accounts receivable and making sure all that stuff was done. And I couldn't tell you exactly how many hours a week she spent, but we've had to rehome her because a lot of the manual stuff she was doing PlanProphet is done. So now she helps us out a little bit more, like on the sales side and follow-ups and things like that. And we do a monthly P&L. So in that I can, we'll go through and we'll see like, okay, we've got this customer that's 90 days past due, or this one that's 60. And if the automated stuff isn't working, like we still have her plug in a
Hmm.
little bit there, but what she has to do there is so much smaller than it used to be. So it's been a
Yeah,
huge time saver.
there you go. And that's exactly what you're looking to do by bringing automation in, is freeing up your time to do your
Yeah.
folks' time to do more meaningful
Yeah, revenue
human
generating
stuff.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's fabulous.
yep.
And I actually have a question on you on that for that, Zach.
Yeah.
Before and after, kind of a picture of prior to, and then, your recent experience. Automation for accounts receivable is, can't be overstated for
Hmm.
cash flow, especially it being one of the most critical measures for keeping the business flowing and being able to build, add, hire whatever is needed there. What are
Yeah.
the other areas that you guys are tackling on the auto side? As I'm showing here, kind of the examples of one instance of,
Hmm.
hey, it captured that an invoice was sent,
Yep.
or sent out, that, a statement was sent, a quote was followed up on, approved. How has that been, your experience on, from your side, kind of merging PressWise on the jobs and the quotes and the other things that are outside of just the accounts receivable?
Yeah, so like another big one was quotes. So we used to send quotes and then, somebody had to remember to call or email. PlanProphet does that for us now. Same thing with proofs, it can automatically follow up on those. A big one for us has been on the communication side with like marketing campaigns. And this
Mm.
kind of leads into some of the sales stuff a little bit. So I don't want to get too far ahead, but like we do holidays really big for us end of year. So having automatic follow-ups via communications for, our big holiday push has been a big thing. So pretty much all those ones you had listed, we've used in some form or fashion on automating follow-ups.
Yeah, I think that's a delineator between the different types of communication, business communications, emails going out from user to user versus a marketing campaign going from one to many, and being
Hmm.
able to establish, some activity, some things, maybe telling them what a promotion or maybe new things that you've added to your repertoire of offerings,
Yeah.
because that's going to add the blend of product mix for a cross sell, upsell, and keeping yourself engaged with the customer, which seemingly one of the big add-ons or value points people are initially concerned about is, hey, is too much communication bad? And what's interesting is a lot of the research we've done over the past year has said that sometimes you send an invoice and you add a note about something you just added, and your accounts payable person at your customer is not going to buy anything in that sense, but they meet, Mary at the water cooler to talk about marketing stuff and say, hey, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but TPC, they just added this thing. You guys were talking about it in our last meeting. Just wanted to share that with you. So they're talking internally, and the more
Yeah.
communication that goes out, the better chances there are for them to see what you're doing and stay in front of them, top of mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
And
we
on
also
that,
talked to, go
go
ahead.
ahead. You go
No,
ahead.
no, please.
On those communication pieces, one of the coolest ones we've done, it was so simple. Is so our owner, her name is Leslie.
Mhm.
So when somebody places their first order with us, there's an automated communication that goes out from her, and it just says, "Thank you so much. I appreciate the business. A little bit about our team. Like we're just really gritty and thankful for you." And she forgets that that is going on in the background all the time, but she gets so many responses to that email. And it's funny because she'll forget that we've got that going on. And then she gets this random email reply from somebody like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. That means a lot. Like, we're looking forward to working with you. And it really just lights her up every time. It's super
That's
exciting.
wonderful.
But, that's the power of like, set it and forget it. And it just works in the background for you so that
Yes.
you can work on getting the jobs out the door, the fires, whatever's going on. So that's a cool example of those, I think.
And to take
Plus,
that further
pause.
on
Do
a,
we have any questions, Laura Donna? I'm not sure. I can't see, but I didn't know if we want to. And if
not
we don't,
yet,
okay,
not
cool. We
yet, but we
keep
want to
going.
promote the idea. So anyone out there, feel free to ask a question no matter who you are,
Yeah,
because I think the questions elicit some really interesting conversation topics as well.
yeah.
But Zach, to kind of keep going on this on the automation side, and the reason I bring this up is because a lot of the value at the early stages is setting this stuff up in a way that it communicates quickly and make sure things don't fall through the cracks. A quote is
Yeah.
confirmed, a proof is confirmed. Um, we have some examples here that I pulled up as a job from here. So as a PressWise, as we're seeing into details of PressWise and what's going on, and proofs are being managed and other things are happening, we'll have the ability to, for your team to obviously see what's going on here in one place, but
Yeah.
also update that back and forth as things move along the process. So
Yeah.
this is an example of a job, and having that invoice represented here is helpful. This is also something that we can use when it comes to customer portals, automation. So we send a link out to them so they can click that link and easily manage paying that invoice, approving a proof or a quote. What's the
Mhm.
experience been from that side of things as you're kind of working in the day to day, or
Yeah.
maybe your team is on the minutia of their jobs rather than the big picture of planning and visualizing?
Yeah, well, like you mentioned the portal, and so like I said, I've got a few key accounts that I still personally manage, and one of those is a like a convenience store chain, and they've got 33 locations. And so they're a really good example. So we do their quarterly LTO packages. So all the signage for all 33 locations, and we have a PressWise storefront built for them. So they go on their storefront once a quarter, all their stuff's in there, they upload their art, it hits us, goes straight to production, makes everything really, really easy. That's one part of their business, but then a lot of what I get is just random, hey, we're upgrading this store, or I need a random sign for this, or whatever it is. And we might have 10 or 15 projects like that going at once. And so the portal has been really awesome for them on their side because they can go in there and see, okay, here's a list of all, 15 proofs I have. Here's all my quotes. They can see what's approved, what's still pending. They might have a meeting, 2 weeks from now to get approval on something so they can actually delay the decision, which is a cool feature that they use quite often. And so that has been really nice to be able to manage all of those, because when you're talking that volume of projects with one client and it's all going through email, it's really easy to miss stuff.
Mhm.
And then for us too, like on this activities tab that you've got there, Christian, you can see like those emails that go back and forth. So if you're having a hard time, we use Outlook. That search in Outlook
Mhm.
is not always the best. So I can go to the activities and see, okay, did we send this? Or the other cool thing is if I need to look at, say it's a different account, one of my salespeople has it. Hey, did they send this? I can go to that activities log and see, okay, yep, Christian did send that to the client, or no, I can't find it. So there's a lot of cool stuff on that page that you've got pulled up that's been super helpful. And just to give you that visibility and manage everything and see where stuff is at, saves you a lot of time as opposed to going through and digging and trying to find stuff. This makes life easy.
And that's interesting too, because within this, with the activities in this one, because we haven't done much on this, would be as an example, would be a new quote that hasn't been yet
Mhm.
delivered and information hasn't been done yet, but we'd send this quote out. Or obviously there's automations that can do this as well. But if you're manually doing this as a salesperson or otherwise, you can be able to send these things directly by email, and it will build out everything from who the buyer should be and who the account is. So not only is it recording that activity at the record level for the job or the quote, but it's doing it at the buyer. It's doing it at the contact itself and at the company level. So an
Yeah.
example of that would be, as an activity for a company level, it could be tasks for the team. It could be things like, follow up and back and forth on emails. And like you're saying, Outlook, Gmail, other email systems that you might use, we're connecting into those. So we're seeing things related to the people that you're working with. We're not pulling in maybe internal conversations, but that's where, if you want, and I'm not sure if you guys use this, Zach, but some people are using Chatter. It's just an internal tool. It's kind of like Slack, but built in to PlanProphet. It just makes it to where you can communicate about a job directly. And a simple way of going in and sharing an update to maybe the graphics team, and being able to say, hey, graphics team, need new proof tomorrow. And they will get this as a text, an email, or however they see it, and obviously in PlanProphet as well. And they'll actually get that information tied to this job, and they'll get a button to click on, take them straight to it so they can move quickly. So as you're going through it, Zach, we're digging in a little bit more on the experience layer. You're going through, we talked about the portal, we talked about other things. What are some of the other highlights as far as like a before and after that you've noticed in your job as operations and kind of being a part of sales, part of marketing? What's been kind of the lift, outside of just time savings that you might be able to point to for other users?
Well, a big one on the sales side would be like deals and tasks, but deals is something that we've really bought into and started using. And
That would be like
so,
an opportunity, right? That's a,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
So like our outside sales rep, their main focus is go out there and find new business.
Mm-hmm.
My internal team can take care of all of our I can't talk existing stuff that's
Mhm.
coming in. So those outside people really are go out there and find new. So they could go to a networking event and meet somebody, or whatever it is. Well, when they get back, and this is where that buy-in comes in, they can make a deal for that. And so on the deals, there's different stages. And I believe, Christian, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can customize those stages to whatever your shop wants. And so, we've got those set up. And so they can go in there and they can put in, name it. They can put in their probability. Like, I think this is a good chance I can get this closed, or maybe not. They can guess dollar amount, and it helps them kind of track where they're at in that. And so that can be from the very first time they met somebody and they got their business card to all the way through, 6 months later when they finally secure that big signage project or that big print job. And then they can take notes in there. If there's quotes or orders or anything, you can attach those to the deal. So it's kind of your one place to go and manage a project. You can see the activity, you can do the chatter to talk back and forth. If you've got files, anything like that from the clients, you can save that there. So it's that one source of truth for a particular project or client or whatever you want to use it for. But we use it really heavily on the sales side, especially on our signage projects. They've got a lot longer sales cycle and stuff than a print job. So when we get those big signage projects, we'll create a deal, right when we hear about it. And that kind of helps us manage where it's at. And then let's say that I'm working on one, but I go out and I'm on vacation. Well, my team can go right in there and see exactly where I left off
Mm-hmm.
and that my notes are there.
That's huge.
So they can step in and support me while I'm away. So I'm not, off campus or on vacation and stressing out, like, is this getting taken care of? Like, I know that they've got what they need. And so that's been hugely helpful. On the sales side is the deals. And then the other thing from there would just be tasks. And Christian, you kind of touched on this, but there's a lot of times we have those conversations and it's like, hey, I need you to send this quote, or I need you to swing by and drop this off for this client or whatever it is. And we used to you'd have those verbal conversations and then hopefully somebody remembers to do it. Our team is not always the best about coming back and saying, hey, Zach, you asked me to do this and I did it.
Right.
So having tasks in the view and just raise that accountability level and makes it a lot easier for me on the operations side when I've got so many people that we're delegating stuff out to kind of track and make sure that everything that we need to get done is getting done. So that's been another part of PlanProphet that's been a big, big help for me in my role as operations director, but then just to kind of hold our whole team accountable and make sure we're getting done what we need to get done. So those would be two really big ones that I would call out.
Yeah, and I think that what we've heard from others as well on the task side is it's a great way to make sure that things are getting done and you can actually report on that level as well, tasks and how long it takes for completion to happen on average. Sometimes
Yep.
we have an assumption that it should be done in a day, it should be done in maybe a week, but backlogged and not be able to see what everyone's doing and understand the complexity behind it. Sometimes it takes longer than we expect. It's a great way for operationalizing an understanding of how long it actually takes for a quote or an estimate or something else to get done by using the task research. But also, like you're saying, people need to be able to take some time off and not stress. Whether you're an
Yeah.
owner, a salesperson, operations, there is no world where you enjoy being on your phone or trying to dig into data while you're ideally sitting on a beach or maybe you're in Alaska on a cruise,
Yeah.
or whatever you may be doing, and feeling like the automations are working for you, feeling like the processes are there, the data's flowing, and people can see what's going on with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Zach, what are the people that are kind of working on the different systems? Give me kind of an outline, if it's possible to, who's using which system and if any of them are using both, how that works for your side.
So you mean like deals and tasks, like who's using those or?
Let's take it from a wider angle with like
Okay.
PlanProphet and PressWise. Like who's
Okay.
digging into
Yeah.
PressWise, who's digging into PlanProphet, and who's digging into both.
So right now basically, like, if you think about us, we think about front of house and back of house, almost like a restaurant.
Mhm.
So like sales, marketing, they're that front of house, and then production, install, that stuff's kind of the back of house. So PlanProphet is much more right now for us on the front of house,
Mhm.
helping us manage the sales cycle, the clients, follow-ups, all that stuff. So the ultimate goal is to get it to production so that they have lots to do and plenty of time to do it. And then, so my production team is really heavy in PressWise, obviously, with job tickets and everything that they need is in PressWise. And so that's kind of how we've split it, is that front of house is really heavy PlanProphet, and the back of house is really heavy PressWise. And then you've got, somebody like me that's really heavy in both.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm assuming you're spending time in both systems.
Yeah.
How's that process work on a day to day? Because obviously they speak to each other, but it sounds like you're doing different things on different sides. And I'd love to hear about the user experience between both, because us being partners, we oftentimes find ourselves meeting with maybe the PressWise super user on one
Mhm.
side, as well as their sales team who's been trying to use, whether it's a disjointed CRM at best, or a pen and paper or Excel or some other
Yeah.
means. I'm sure PressWise, again, compared to others, has more features that makes it easier for salespeople to manage that. But having that data flow, what do you see yourself spending time in PressWise that really highlights, what it can do for you guys?
Yeah, PressWise for me is a lot on that production side, running our production list, checking POs, handling our inventory, paper stock, all that stuff. Working really closely with my team to make sure that our pricing is up to date, that kind of stuff. And then, since I am doing some sales personally, I've got, PlanProphet for that, but then also just to see that visibility on, top quotes, what's out there right now, what should my team be targeting to close? Like, that's where that PlanProphet side comes in.
Mhm.
And then in that operation role that I'm in, it's always, we want to talk about what's due right now or what's due next week, but we got to take time to think about what does TPC look like next year or 5 years from now. And having PlanProphet pull all that data from PressWise so we can see, hey, our signage division is really, really growing, and maybe our promotionals dipped a little bit. So, what do we need to be planning for, doing, changing, to get everything going the direction we want to, and having that data available to make smart, informed decisions and not just basing stuff off our gut, has been nice. And that's another way that I find myself in PlanProphet a lot, is just looking at the data and the reports and
Yeah.
those kinds of things too.
Well, and I know for us, we appreciate the effort that PlanProphet is putting into AI. We like the idea of we consider ourselves in the ecosystem of AI, but we're still very protective of your MIS and of those critical systems. But the fact that PlanProphet can offers that to you guys from that user experience, I think is phenomenal, and I think that's where that needs to live right now for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what's your take on that, Zach? What are you guys focused on when it comes down to kind of AI, whether it's agents or tools or systems otherwise? What's the focus?
So the minute Chat GPT came out, I think I was on board. And then ever since then, I've always been fascinated with it. I don't think it's replaced anything, but it's definitely, I look at it as like a thought partner. So, there's
Yes.
always those things that come across your desk, and just want somebody to bounce an idea off of, or, think about this is way different than I would. So AI has kind of been that for us in an instance. It's automated some stuff. You get a big Excel document and you need it summarized, you need it formatted, like AI can do that. So now I don't have to spend time doing that. And then I know PlanProphet's got quite a bit of stuff on there, that they've launched. And Christian, you can speak to that probably better than I can, but it's not going away. So, learning about it and using it and seeing where it fits and makes sense. And then also recognizing, hey, maybe it isn't ready for us at this point right now. And whatever that specific thing is, has been, it's been a fun I wouldn't say a challenge, but it's been an interesting like add-on to part of my day to day, and just seeing like how can we automate this or make life more efficient or easier for everybody. Not only for us internally, but for our clients too. So AI's, yeah, we could sit here and talk about it all day.
Yeah.
Another webinar.
Yeah. How it
But,
works, why it matters, which ones to pick from. I think those are the
yeah,
things we learned a lot about, and some deep research we did, and we work with some research institutes on print and signage specific usage and the change of that. And so our position on this is just as you mentioned, Zach, it's not going away, but it needs to be designed for a good reason. It can't just be a high level, or ChatGPT and these other LLMs are great, but it takes a lot of time to prompt and tell it what you want before you get there.
yeah,
So the tools that we're focused on internally is going to be, really designed around like building an email, but using internal data, invoice information, job ticket numbers, past history for orders, and being able to compose an email quickly for a sales or an invoice follow up just to get that done in a matter of seconds, as well as, maybe even building out things for marketing purposes. But the other things that we're really trying to make sure that we're doing is listening to you guys, listening to the consumers and customers, and hearing about what you wish was there, what you wish was connected. In the world of technology these days, more data connections and standardizing, making sure the data can understand systems. Say, instead of A and one as different, now we just make, hey, A equals one, and so both systems work together and allowing for that to happen. So our position, we're working hard on our side to get that. The Champion Summit, we'll talk a lot more about that. We actually have a Vibe Coding Academy. Zach, if you guys are coming, we'd love to have you there. I'm building applications for yourself that can solve, the individual problems that you have at your business, and
Mhm.
okay,
deploying that through PlanProphet and having it work functionally across your other data and other systems. It's going to be a great way to make the most out of your team's efforts and knowledge and skill sets on top of what we're already doing.
that's
Yeah,
So,
awesome.
yeah, yeah.
awesome.
I have one question I wanted to get to because I want to
Okay.
hear it from you, Zach, directly. Is
Okay.
when you're thinking about this from as another PressWise user, if they're thinking about this, what would you tell them directly if they were to ask you, what do you think, what should we do, or what makes sense?
I mean, for us, it was a no-brainer. I would tell anybody that's interested, at least get on with the Plan Profit team, have them do the demo. My wife always gives me a lot of trouble before I buy something. I do a lot of research. And so I did the same thing with Plan Profit. We were kind of on the hunt for a CRM for a while. And when I came across Plan Profit, it was just that light bulb moment. It already works with PressWise. They bought in. We had that first demo call, and I had my ownership on the call with me. And I think after that, they were bought in. I was ready to sign the dotted line before we had that call, even because all the research. But once they saw how the two could work together and what it could do to change our business, they were also bought in. And then, once we got it and the team saw it, and we've seen the value there and just how it's made life easier for us and our clients. I would tell anybody that's on the fence, I would definitely recommend it. I couldn't say enough good things about it. So,
I mean, it's fabulous as long as you're using it.
yes, yeah, definitely use it. Don't just pay for it and not use it. You have to put in the time and teach the team and, to
Yeah.
use it. But if you do that, then it's definitely worth the investment.
Yeah.
And something
100%.
I'd say that because we hear this a lot from some of the smaller companies, maybe they only have a few people. The experience is, maybe I don't have the time to invest in teaching, or maybe my team isn't interested in adopting this. There's
Yep.
ways that we've been able to help those businesses to focus on automation and just make
Yeah.
sure that the things aren't
Mhm.
slipping through the cracks. Then when you get
Mhm.
the time back because you're not following up on invoices, you're not chasing
Right.
quotes,
Yeah.
you're not chasing proofs, then you can dig into data. Then you can up
Yeah.
level, get the reporting,
Yes.
visualize some things. So,
Yeah.
it's up to you as a company and as a user, what is a priority? What's going to help move the needle? That's what we
Yeah.
focus on. That's what PressWise focuses on. ROI and getting that money back in your pocket as fast as possible is number one, I
Yeah.
think, for everyone.
Yeah. And for us, the accounts receivable side of it, that in and of itself pays for our Plan Profit subscription. But then, when you add in how it's helped our sales team and how the follow-ups have automated and like our win percentage on quotes and everything else, and how much faster we get a proof approved and get it to production with everything that's going on there. All of that adds up to that ROI. So it's easily, multiplied what we're able to do by quite a bit. So.
And I'd like to add, because I think we're getting ready to kind of wrap this up here. As an integration partner, PressWise as an MIS, I should say, we value our integration partners out there, right? And it's not just something we do because we have to do it. We want very good, very symbiotic relationships. And in the case with PlanProphet and PressWise, what I absolutely love, because I hear this all the time from my dev team, is how well the companies actually work together. Because we're not these corporate companies that have all this red tape to cut through, what is best for you, the end user. I know both companies have a very similar philosophy on support, very similar philosophy on, hey, if this enhancement makes sense, let's get it on our mutual roadmaps and work on it sooner than later. And PlanProphet has been just so wonderful for us to work with. So glad that, we've got this relationship together, and we really are. I mean, I'd love to see in the future, we're going to be the gold standard on CRM MIS integration because of some of those things. So Christian and Loredana, you guys, we appreciate you so much as a partner. Like so much. And Zach, having folks like you that are out there pushing that envelope, and we do to keep our toes on the fire so that we can always make a better product for you, our subscription base. And I think that's definitely the vibe that comes through here in this partnership.
Absolutely. And as you guys are thinking about this, for anyone still with us, if you're a client, come to the champion session. Meet us, talk to us, give us your feedback. We'd love to be able to get that from a joint perspective with Susan and the PressWise team. We're always thinking about what we need, and we only get that. The best way we get that is from you directly,
100%.
Understanding what you wish you could do. What's the wish list that we could be considering as we go down the road and enhance things further down, in development and releases and other things like that. And if you're not yet a client, just consider, reaching out. Let us know. We have some resources online you can take a look at. Be happy to meet you in person or over a call if it makes it easier. And again, Susan, right back to you. We really appreciate the relationship, the partnership, the way you guys work. It makes it easier and faster and more effective to solve problems that inevitably will always come up, so that we can keep the Zachs of the world happy and motivated and excited for what's to come.